Welcome to the Prosperity Podcast for entrepreneurs who are ready to drop the hustle and earn more. I'm your host, Danielle Amos, business and success coach, certified Proctor Gallagher Institute consultant, and lifestyle entrepreneur. Each week, I'll bring you amazing entrepreneurs who have built wealth, harnessing the power of their mind. Prosperity and money are truly about energy, and I'm on a mission to help you create financial abundance through the power of thought. It's time we started normalizing conversations about money and create the wealth that is yours. Are you ready? Let's do this. Welcome to episode 152 of the Prosperity Practice, the podcast that has you living your most abundant life. My name is Danielle Amos, and I am honored to be your host. Today's episode is a clip from a recent teaching that I gave. And this teaching, so many people requested the recording from it. And so we wanted to give it here to you as our podcast listeners as a special bonus. So in this episode, I talk about the importance of your imagination. Your imagination is a mental muscle and it needs exercising. And I actually give you tools on how to exercise and strengthen your imagination, because the truth is most people are using their imagination against themselves. In fact, society discourages our imagination. Think about it. When we're kids, we've got a strong imagination. Then we go to school and we're asked to be more logical. And that way of thinking diminishes and weakens our imagination. So this episode is really important because your imagination actually sets the boundaries of what you can and do, what you do and do not achieve in life. So your only limitation is, in fact, your imagination. And science proves that. So a strong imagination is essential for success. So you're going to love this episode. And as it resonates, if it resonates, please reach out, tag me, and share. Thank you and enjoy. So imagination is one of your mental muscles. And just like we have muscles in our body, you also have muscles in your mind. And when we work out these muscles, just like in our body, they get really strong, right? And if we don't work them out, they become weak. And so what's happened for a lot of people in the world, like most of the population, unless you're really creative, we aren't using our imaginations as much, and they become weak for lack of use. So let me know if this resonates. So think about the muscles in your body. Like if I was to put one arm in a sling and not work it out, and then only pump weights with my right arm, I'd have one arm really strong and one lethargic, right? One really weak. And so the same things happening in our mind. And in fact, society has us not work out our imaginations. Like think about when you were a kid. Kids, they're 5 years old, 6 years old, and they're pretending they're superwoman, superman. They're playing with pots and pans and creating a drumming band. Their imaginations are really strong. And we go to school and our imaginations continue to be strong, and then we start hearing things from the people around us like, wow, how are you going to do that? Or you're just playing. And we're taught to become more realistic. And then as we grow up, this realistic side of us, this logical side of us continues to strengthen because we work it out. We get into numbers and we start reasoning. And if it doesn't make sense, if it's like an imaginary world, we're told to let it go and just stop daydreaming. Does this resonate with anybody? And so the imagination is weak, but here is the thing. What we don't understand is that your imagination is literally dictating your experience in life. So if our imagination's weak and we're not used to using it, then we're relying on some of our other muscles, like reason. And reason is linked to logic. Your logic is literally controlled by the paradigm, by your programming, by how society, your parents, your school teachers programmed you, by past experiences. And so your experience of life is just that, limited. Now, I want you to write this down. And write it like the first person. I'm going to just say it to all of you. You can be, do, and have anything you want. Anything. The only limitation you have is your imagination. This is proven. It's proven that the human being has unlimited potential. And that the only thing that limits that potential is their imagination. It's not talent. It's not how smart you are. It's not the resources. It's not what school you went to. It's your own mind, your own imagination. And imagination's a muscle. And if it's weak, then it's very limited. So today, it's my purpose, my mission to show you how to strengthen your imagination. Because if your imagination is dictating what you experience in life, let's work out this muscle. Like today, we are taking your mind to the gym. How does that sound? This is what we're going to do. We take our body to the gym. We go to the gym, we work it out, we, do our yoga and our walks and weights. How often are we actually strengthening our mental muscles? Now, you might be wondering what, the other mental muscles. We have other mental muscles. Imagination is one of them. I mentioned another reason. Your memory is also a muscle, which is really interesting because people will say, well, I've got a good memory or a bad memory, but it's actually weak or strong. And everyone has a memory. It's just how well we work it out. So if you practice memorizing, remember the days when we had to remember telephone numbers, like before cell phones? And like, I literally, as a teenager, had so many phone numbers in my mind. I could probably still rhyme them off of my best friends and that kind of thing. So our memory was worked out because we had to. So memory is a muscle. And we see this. My husband's an actor. He's got a fantastic memory because he works it out memorizing his lines for scripts and has a great memory as a result. Intuition is also a memory. So your ability to connect with source through your intuition. We say that prayer is talking to God, source, and intuition is God and source talking to us. So intuition is a muscle. Your perception is also a muscle. Your ability to see the situation from different angles. So that's something to work out. So if you think about this, our mental muscles are just like our muscles on the body. They've got to be worked out. We've got to take them to the gym. And it's super important, especially with your imagination, because your imagination is literally limiting everything that you experience. So let's just think about this for a moment. I mentioned your paradigm. Your paradigm is your mental programming. So your paradigm is your habitual behavior, and it's how you habitually show up in the world. So how you habitually think, you habitually feel, and how you habitually act. And this paradigm is in control 98% of the time, 97 to 98% of the time in your life. So therefore, your results that you're getting right now, your current results in your business, are because of your programming, your paradigm. So we want to change the paradigm, and how it starts to change is first becoming consciously aware of how the mind works. So your paradigm controls the way you see the world, so your perception. It controls your reasoning muscle. So the way that you think, it controls your imagination. So if you aren't used to seeing people succeed, and then that will dictate how big you imagine, unless you think outside the box and you're using your conscious mind, which is only in control about 3 to 5%. So I just want you to see like how much of the mental muscles are controlled by this paradigm. So we're going to break free of that today. It's like, if you're with me, we're interested in quantum leaps. 10% growth is not good enough. We want 100%, 200%, 300, 500%. Why not? And some of you might be like, oh, what is this lady? Like, what's she talking about? Cora's like, absolutely. But here's the thing. Your mind does not know the difference between 10%, 100%, 1,000% growth. You do, like the subconscious mind, you have your doubts whether or not that's possible, but the universe doesn't know the difference. And so if you can accept the belief and build a vision of a quantum leap for you, and you can accept that it's possible for you, you can have it. And this is what the imagination allows you to do. So if you want an extraordinary life, an extraordinary business, you've got to learn how to work out this imagination muscle. So how do we do that? So we do this because by being creative, by understanding that as a human being, you are creative. Now just see how that lands for a moment, because some of you might be like, I'm not creative. Like, I don't paint, I don't sing. And some of you might resonate with like, I am creative. If you say that, just notice how it lands for you. Because there may even be a block in you thinking that you are creative. You are creative because you are a creator. You are a creator. You're here to create, to manifest your physical reality. And we co-create with the energy that is God, universe. And we use this power that's running through us, your invisible power. We use this power to mold and build a picture of what we want. So the results that you want in your life. And this picture is what transmutes into the physical form. And we're here to do God's source's work. What's God's work? Create. So we are creators. And so it's super important to understand that you actually are just by nature creative. We're creative beings. Now it's important to understand how it works. How we use this power, this invisible power that runs through every single human being, so that we can manifest or attract the life and business and relationships that you desire. And the truth is, we are manifesting all day long. You cannot turn off the attraction. The law of vibration is the primary law, and everything's vibrating, nothing rests. And so we are all right now, right where we are, attracting, manifesting into our life. And so how do you attract more of what you want? By understanding this muscle, this your imagination muscle, and learning how it works. So the first step is to create the beautiful picture in your mind of what you want. And this is super important. This skill must be practiced. And the tapping into the feeling is the secret. Because if we don't feel in our imagination, the picture we create stays in our conscious mind. And anything that's in the conscious mind does not manifest, does not move into the physical form. I want to explain this. This is really important. Our conscious mind is where you start to think. It's your conscious thinking. You're using your reasoning muscles. You write to create the picture. Most people leave their goal here. Most people build the picture of what they want, this business that you want, and you leave it in your conscious mind, and nothing happens. Nothing seems to really change. So you write your goal with your manager, you look at targets, and you say the things that you're going to do. Year after year, not much happens. A big reason is because the goal has not moved into the subconscious mind. And this is where your imagination comes in. And sometimes it's not that easy to get into the feeling of the goal achieved, because our mind will say, well, you haven't done it. Like, I don't know what that's like. Imagine. So if you did know, what would you guess it would feel like? Or what would you guess it would be like if you did know? Remember, as a child, like, we didn't know what it felt like to be Superman or Superwoman, and we still pretended. We imagined. Or we didn't know what it was like to be a teacher, but I played teacher all the time. In my imagination, I was this fabulous teacher with my chalkboard and my pointy stick and my books. Like, what did you imagine? And play, what did you play? We had never done it before either, but we imagined. And we weren't afraid to use this powerful muscle. This is, it might sound like child's play, like what I'm asking you to do. And here's the thing. This is where quite a few people, we get lost, because we, like, as adults, we're all grown up and we're like, I don't have time for that. I'm too busy. I don't have time to imagine. And this is a huge mistake. This is they think 5 minutes visualization doesn't make a difference. Let me tell you something. All successful people visualize. Actually, all people visualize. All people are using their imagination. Just most of the population use their imagination against themselves by worrying, by doubting. And they're focusing on what they don't want in their imagination rather than what the best possible scenario is. Can you see that? Before a meeting, we worry maybe that the person doesn't show up, or what if she says no, or he says no. So we want to switch this, because successful people use their imagination for them. They visualize, they understand this tool, and they visualize the best scenario, not based on logic, but based on desire, like the best possible scenario. If you can choose anything, if anything's possible, use this tool to go and pretend that that's what's happening. The successful people are already doing this, either consciously or unconsciously. And we know this. And if you've ever heard an Olympic athlete being interviewed, an Olympic medalist, I saw an incredible interview with a swimmer, and she was saying how she, like, literally swam the race in her mind. And Olympic athletes say this all the time. They see their win in their mind first, and then they receive the medal in real life. They practice the race over and over and over and over in their mind's eye. And in fact, in a powerful book called Psycho-Cybernetics, there are studies of, one is from Harvard about basketball. There were 3 groups of players, and they wanted to test the power of the mind. And the one group practice only on the court, shooting the ball into the net, into the hoop. The second group practice on the court as well as in their mind. And the third group practiced in their mind only. And they wanted to find out which group had the most shots in the hoop. And this research showed that the people who studied in their mind and the people who studied in the court and their mind had the best. And they were very similar. So what the conclusion was, and the scientists were talking about, is that in real life, so much we allow our present circumstances to dictate how we feel and what comes next in our life. And we use our imagination actually against ourselves if we're not that good. But every person who practiced basketball in their mind only, they didn't practice missing the shot. It was they made it, 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 they made it. And the repetition of that had them become better players. In the same book, there's a story about a professional golf coach who had his students play golf in a lazy boy chair for hours. They practice being on the green in their mind in a lazy boy chair for hours. That's how they practiced golf. Imagination. This is how they're using and strengthening their imagination muscle to focus on what they want rather than what they don't want. This book's called Psycho-Cybernetics. It's like a very sciencey book. If it feels called to you, it's a really great book. So how does this relate to you now? Well, I want you to think about this. Is your image of what you want really clear? And do you know that you'll have it? And if feeling is the secret, literally, that is how you move the goal from your conscious mind into your subconscious mind. So rather than worry, you're going to now use this tool to focus on what you do want. There you go. I'm so happy you were here. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Prosperity Practice. If this episode resonated with you, please give us a 5-star review, write a comment, click and share this episode. Help us get the word out. I am so grateful and very much appreciate you. Enjoy your day and expect abundance.